Guys, guys. Okay, I don't know really what we expected ultimately if we, you know, after the first test, after that poor performance in the batting lineup. I mean, I can't be surprised necessarily because I've been warning people about this for a while. I've been saying that the selection policy is all wrong. We are going to get inconsistencies if you pick players that are inconsistent domestically. So I don't think it's a massive surprise, in my opinion, with regards to what we are seeing over here. But I think we can feel we can feel a certain way about this. We can feel upset about this. We can feel um, embarrassed by this, and I feel that we a lot of us are feeling that way. I think a lot of fans are sitting there scratching their head and thinking, why have we selected the players we have, and why they're performing so poorly. It's not only that, like I can understand from the first game at the Gabba where there was opportunities for the bowlers to really move the ball around and move it off the seam, and the pitch was a little bit was green top and bouncy, and the bowlers could exploit that. But on this pitch, it doesn't necessarily really look like a very tricky one. You get wickets if you put it in the good areas, and you can force batters into playing shots. But to be dismissed like we've been dismissed, I mean, I can at least call three out of the four wickets. That was self-destruction. In other words, um, ultimately bad shots led to wickets, and we were losing wickets in clusters. And it was a terrible performance from the batting lineup. But before we get started, please please do a couple of things for me. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe to the channel. Please click that notification bell for all future videos. What I'd like you also guys to do is download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. Go to the Patreon account and become a patron today if you want to help us grow and promote South African cricket. And also, if you want to help us grow as a company in the cricket space. Smash the like button, comment and share, and go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates, reports, etc., and features and opinion pieces, etc. So let's get straight into today's show. Looking forward to discussing this with you. Actually, not looking forward to it, but looking forward to talking to you guys, but not discussing this dismal performance. Oh, very good morning, sorry, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics magazine. Early hours in the morning, covering games, staying up. It's been tough to switch between sleeping patterns because I obviously have to get my mind kind of ready and prepared for to be able to cover games from 1 a.m. in the morning through till 9 in the morning. So mind you, if there's a little bit of mistakes coming through here, I'm obviously this is completely authentic, so it's live, of course. So mistakes are going to happen. This is a call-in show, guys. So if you guys do want to call in and have your say, you're allowed to come on for a little bit and come have a conversation with me, and then leave directly after that. I'd like to get your thoughts on the matches as well as fans in general. But let's just start first and foremost with a summary of the match for those that have never had an opportunity to actually watch the match at all. Um, I think for you guys that didn't get up, it benefited you because you can literally just watch the highlights and you'll get the summary of exactly what happened. There's nothing really that you missed, to be honest, other than two great performances from Carl Verreynne and Marco Jansen. This is the reason, guys, that I pushed for Marco Jansen, and that is the reason why I want him in the team, is because I know for a fact that he has potential in him with the bat. And I think that we need to put him under those pressure situations because of the mentality that he has and he's shown in domestic cricket, under 19 level, even SA schools level, SA Colts level, all of those type of things, even in Kamajolowik. He's always showed a strong mentality and a unique, straight focus on one thing. And I feel that at the moment he's the type of guy that can really be a very important cog in the wheel for to us to go forward. We need to be able to build a team that has mental strength and mental capacity to be able to handle pressure. South Africa's biggest downfall in the past has always been their mental state. They seem to lose their minds when they are faced with pressure. It's almost like all their technique, everything that they've learned has gone out the window. And I kind of I kind of trying to figure out how we can produce um, more players like this. But in actual fact, when I look at the domestic arena, there are players like this. So my biggest gripe has been from the beginning of this series, before the series even started, before I even saw a ball being bowled, I had an issue with a selection policy and the selectors. I've had a problem with the selection policy for quite some time now because I feel that the wrong players are being selected, particularly in the batting department. And now, this is doesn't mean that I have anything against any of the batters that have been selected, but there are a couple of batters over here that don't deserve to be in this team. I feel based on what they can provide for the future. If this was a situation where we had a experienced team and maybe a couple of guys that we needed to pick from domestic cricket, maybe to fill some spots, then I can fully understand the selectors picking these players because then you can risk the fact that they might just not score runs. But at the moment, we're in desperate need of runs and winning. On top of that, we're in desperate need of guys that can be the future. Now, I don't understand why we have wasted so many opportunities to give young players a chance to grow themselves and build themselves into cricketers that they were meant to be. For me personally, I would like to give players that have consistently converted at a domestic level the opportunity to be able to play at a national level so that they can play against the best and take advantage of it. It's pointless in 2 years' time. We decide we're going to go on a rebuild and we're rebuilding with the rest of the other nations. That means that we're all going through the same issues and we're all going to be duped into thinking how good we are because we're all playing against teams that are in transition and also struggling to fit their teams. Because if you look around the world and you look at around the teams, India is quite settled, an experienced lineup that's also going to be changing in the next couple of years. Australia's probably too. England, I think, are in a situation right now where they um, have found players and they're sticking and giving them opportunities and they're starting to find their own. So I think it maybe give them another year or so to be the team that they expect to be. If you look around the world, and see the different teams, you can see that a lot of teams will probably be in transitions in the next 2 years. Now, South Africa has been in transition for 8 years, in my opinion. We've been in transition since I started this bloody job. I can never understand why the only why we pick players based on experience alone and games played. In my opinion, honest opinion, 100 domestic games for Cyril Ewe, Kayo Zondo never really um, helped or never prevented them from playing such weak shots to lose their wickets. Now, Temba Bavuma as well, poor shot to lose his wicket. The run out was unnecessary from Dean Alga. I mean, Dean was really looking good. Tennis the brain as well. An unnecessary shot at that particular time after he looked good. He was settled. To go for a pull shot at that particular time was completely mind-boggling in my opinion. So it's something that I'm trying to put my finger on why we we as a selection panel and in South Africa, why we believe that experience domestically trumps conversion rate um, at domestic level. I don't understand how 100 games at domestic level will help you internationally. You're not facing the same type of pressures. You're not facing the same type of bowlers. So if you can't even convert at the domestic level consistently, then how the hell are you going to play against Mitchell Stark and Boland and all of these guys that are pretty damn good and are very pretty accurate putting those balls on the particular spots on consistent rates. So to the guys that haven't really watched this game, let me just go through it quickly with you so that you guys can see what actually took place. Um, so that and to some of you guys that just woke up, you might not know what actually took place. So first and foremost, South Africa lost the toss. And Pat Cummins actually opted to bowl first, which was quite a shock for some because people think that this is pretty good batting wicket. A lot of the pundits have been talking about this as being pretty decent batting unit. I mean, batting surface. And South Africa never showed that. As you guys can see by the scorecard alone, they were bowled out for 189. Dean Alga was run out, um, 26 runs. I mean, after all that hard work, he gets run out stupidly. Sadal Iovia, 18. Yes, he got a couple of shots away, but the way he got dismissed was just, he never looked settled in the first 2, 3 overs. I was looking at him and watching him bat, and I was like, today he didn't look like a player. Majority of the time that I see him bat in difficult conditions, obviously, he doesn't necessarily always look like a player that has 100 caps to his name domestically, in that opinion. So that's why I'm saying, like, this is just because you have 100 innings behind your name doesn't, or 100 games behind your name doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be a top level international cricketer. It doesn't necessarily mean that. There's a reason why they haven't picked him in his peak. They're picking him towards the end of his career. I mean, they would have, if he was good enough for international cricket and he was good enough to be the opening opener for South Africa. I know that they want to reward experience and also reward form. Now, let's not like deny the fact that Cyril Irving had an okay season last year in 4-day cricket. He scored a double ton, I think it was, or got close, and scored a 50 here and there. But his consistency over time does not necessarily prove that he can convert and score big hundreds. I feel like he is the grinder in a team. We can't have two. I think him and Dean Alga don't necessarily complement each other. I feel they put pressure on each other, in my opinion. The way they both are batting, they're both searching for form, and it feels like they're putting pressure on each other, in my opinion. It's basically crap from there on. Tennis the brain threw his wicket away. Temba Bavuma was poor. Kai Zondo was poor. But Kyle Verreynne and Marco Jansen. Now, that's mentality that I'm talking about. Marco Jansen and Kyle Verreynne have really, really shown in the past consistently, domestically, for S under 19, for SAA, and every single games that they played, they've consistently shown the ability to be able to score under pressure. I spoke about this 4 years ago when I interviewed Kyle. I asked Kyle Verreynne 4 years or 5 years ago. I asked him, "How do you manage?" Because Kyle Verreynne has been doing this for the Cobras as well as Western Province for as long as I know him. Coming into situations when the team is 4-5 down and putting them in a position that is at least defendable. For the Cobras, of course, and domestic cricket, because of the level, he has an ability to be able to push the team to maybe even 200, 300 and score big hundreds and two double centuries. But it's a lot more difficult against an Australian attack that is able to exploit any wicket that they're facing at the moment. They look like they really are within their element. But on top of that, we're not really making it difficult for them to bowl. I feel that a lot of our batters look nervous and out of sorts. The major problem in this is not just losing wickets, it's losing wickets in clusters. We're losing wickets, 2, 3 wickets at a time. I mean, if even you look at the end with regards to um, Cameron, he was bowling. I mean, he took out 3 bowlers. I think it was in 7 balls. I mean, that's ridiculous in Test cricket. Like at this level, if we want to compete. So I know a lot of you guys were talking about the World Test Championship and the possibility for us to win it. And that's probably why South Africa decided not to rebuild because we're in second position. I always felt that was a little bit of a fake second position because I never felt comfortable with our with our batters. Sorry, I never ever felt comfortable with our batters. I haven't felt comfortable for a very long time. I think Dean is now with 19 innings without a century. It's bad as a captain, as an opener in this team, as a senior batter. I can maybe understand. I would have maybe understood this if he was a little younger. A lot of people have been very not controversial, critical of Aiden Markram's position in the team and why they've kept on pushing him, pushing him, pushing him, pushing him. They've proven over the time that that's what they do. They give people an extended run of form no matter what happens because they give them that backing and trust. But with Aiden, it made sense because he was still young. He was still in his early 20s. He still had room for improvement. Um, but I don't think that our opening woes has got to do with only the other opener. I think it's also got to do with Dean Alger. Dean Alger needs to take responsibility and accountability as well for the poor starts that South Africa has been having for the last year or so. Yes, he had that 1,000 run season that was phenomenal. But after that, was he really as we thought he was? I mean, in Australia, last time out when we played Australia, when the ball tampering saga, um, it was Aiden Markram that was the key opener in that particular match. And for a while, it was Aiden Markram that has been the key opener for South Africa, not Dean Alger. Alger would perform here and there, yes, but it was mainly Aiden Markram until he went heavily off form. So I've always had this argument that you give the right people extended runs in the team. Sometimes and you need, and there's ways of analyzing this and knowing which ones to give, because there's track records domestically to see if you give certain players extended runs, do they perform or do they fail? Do they score sporadically, or do they score on a regular basis? Do they score every 2 matches? Do they score every match? Do they score every 5 matches? Do they score every 10 matches? They Cricket is a very statistical game. You can see all of these things, and something like a conversion rate is so important. And I keep pushing at it, pushing at it, pushing at it, because scoring big is a skill. Scoring big hundreds, big double centuries, etc., is a skill. It's something that you can pick up and learn. There are plenty of batters that have learned the skill, different techniques, different mentalities, different things that tell themselves to be able to push themselves into that realm of getting into a double century to 100. Now, we obviously have to wait and see how Australia bat on this pitch before we get carried away too much. But so far, it's been extremely poor. And as you can see, that was the scoreline. From a bat bowler's perspective, it was Cameron Green. They got 5 wickets. A good performance from this guy coming in. And actually, Mitchell Stark picked up a little injury, and he was actually looking really good today. And Cameron Green just stepped up and performed really, really well. So congratulations to him. He did a good job. Then, from a South African bowler's perspective, two maidens opening with two maidens, and then Kagiso Rabada basically taking the wicket of Usman Khawaja. A good ball from him. And we're looking okay, but David Warner's looking up for it. I mean, 100th test. Um, it's something that we all know. David Warner doesn't need much to be fired up, but how can I say, if he has incentive, then we know for a fact that this guy is going to be able to, he's going to put on some runs. So it's going to be interesting to see. Um, yeah, this was a waste of my time, honestly. Watching this, getting up in the morning, putting myself through that, watching all of this is, I wouldn't say necessarily a complete waste of time, because I'm being able to analyze it and give you guys information on this, and do a show on this. And so from that perspective, yes, it's some good content. We're getting a good number of viewers now at the moment watching the show. But other than that, um, it was a big waste of time, because I, I don't understand how a South African team can go out and perform almost with perform like this, knowing that there's a country, getting up early in the morning, sacrificing, watching. Some people don't take off for Boxing Day and actually have to work today, and they get up early and to sacrifice to watch the team perform like this. I mean, it's just not on at all. By the way, this was the first 100 partnership in three. There was only 300 partnerships this calendar year for South Africa. Bloody mental. Okay, guys. So the lines are open. I'm going to bring on the callers. I would like to hear what you guys have to say. Um, I'm sorry that I haven't got into any of the live chat yet, but I'll read a couple of the last ones that are here. Dean Alger, useless, who performed nothing and lectures youngsters not to play IPL. Dean Alger's bingo, picking 6-5 for sake of aggressive captaincy, picking 30 olds with mediocre first class records, batting first for sake of aggressive captaincy. Victor, take responsibility. Her dude is what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Um, still, I'm bro. I'm not, guys. I'm not very woke. So I don't know these emojis and these things and the shortened abbreviation stuff for everything. I'm still the old school. I still say LOL. Still think Markram is our best option for that opening slot. I've been saying it. I don't understand why they would drop someone like that. I know he was off form, but sometimes it's not only about off form get dropped. It's also about the way people lose your how you losing your wicket. At the moment, Aiden was losing his wicket rather than getting dismissed. I feel that there was maybe a couple of technical things that they could have maybe added to that to help him change that. But I don't think these batters are getting coached. Let's just be honest over here. I don't think they've been coached for the last 4 years under Dale Binkenstein, under Justin Salmons. I feel he's too inexperienced. I don't think he understands necessarily um, what is needed to be a test batter, in my opinion. He might have learned it from a technical perspective and gone in his coaching badges and all of those type of things. But to actually be a test batter, I think that there needs to, a test batting coach. I feel that there needs to be some, maybe needs to have some experience. The national coach, the main coach, doesn't necessarily have to have national experience, in my opinion, because I feel it's a lot got to do with motivation in cricket and getting your players in self belief up and making sure that they can build a winning mentality and a winning environment. I think that's the main coach's main role. But as soon as you move into the realm of being a batting coach, I feel that your experience in Test cricket, one day cricket, T2, whatever it may be, will be a massive help because you would have seen such certain situations before. So I would like to see a batting coach, a proper batting coach being selected, whether it's from overseas. I mean, I wouldn't even mind one of the Sri Lankans to come um, to coach us. I think that would be an excellent move because we get both sides of the world of the fence. Or an Australian would be excellent because of mentality. Mitchell Wango says, "What can we say about the coaching? Smith and Warner rework technique and back and more dangerous. What are players doing to adapt? These youngsters are better than Alga. Um, Lungi has been ordinary throughout. Give Riza Hendricks a chance to play in place of Alga. But guys, we have openers that are converting. We have openers that have been converting. Peter Malan, I know he's injured at the moment, but Peter Malan should have been in the opener with Dean Alga from the start. Other than if Aiden wasn't going to play, it should be Peter. It's as simple as that for me. That guy's conversion rate is ridiculous in first class cricket, particularly in 4-day cricket, because you can split the two formats. Basically, list A, I mean, basically, 3-day cricket when he was playing for Western Province for 3-day cricket doesn't really count because you're playing 3-day matches and against a weak opposition. But the fact that his 4-day cricket record, if you separate the two and you look at his 4-day cricket record, his conversion rate is ridiculous. And I don't understand how someone like that, with his mentality, his work ethic, you can see that man is a hard worker just by his physique. I watched this guy in training, behind the scenes in training, many, many times. His eating patterns, his eating regimes, what he eats, what he puts in his body, his gymming, his mentality. I think that's the type of mentalities that you need in a team. As someone that will take on the pressure and not get phased by it. And he showed it internationally too when he scored that 80 for England. And yet he got dropped, which is mind-boggling to me. That after he got dropped, after scoring runs, he gets dropped and then that gets brought back into the team. You can Tennis the Brain is another option. The way they treated Tennis the Brain, I feel, is wrong because now they bring him back into a team in a must-win game and expect him to just run and score runs immediately. This is not football. It's cricket. It's a lot to do with momentum and it's a lot to do with mentality. So work on that. How can we still not have a sports psychologist? I don't understand that. We are known as the team that chokes under pressure, and yet we don't have a sports psychologist. That is bloody retarded, in my opinion. Flipping hell. It's irritating. All rounders should always bat ahead of the wicketkeeper. Let's get a couple of more chats over here. Tazorzi, Markram, Rickleton must be included versus the West Indies. Ever Zondo to miss out and never be selected again. I don't understand why Lungi opens bowling despite not being a swing bowler. Um, to be honest, West Indies batted way better than us. No joke. This is shameful for us at school level batting. Please, Khalid, be fearless and ask some harsh questions to the players when you get a chance. I always do, guys. I never shy away from asking the difficult questions. If you watched my interviews in the past and been following me for a while, you would notice that. But yes, bro, thank you for the advice. That's awesome. These performances are all stem from the top. We have people in positions. Alga and Mpasanga hates youngsters. Calvarena should bat higher in the order. It's weird, that situation, because I know for a fact that Victor Mpasanga has the knowledge to know which players in the division or younger players are available, because he was the S19 convener of selectors. Actually, he was the S19 convener of selectors, I think, in my second Kaya Majola week, actually my first Kaya Majola week. So it's 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 strange, because those players, he saw all of them. The funny thing is, the guys that I want to be playing in this team, the guys that I've been asked to come into the team for the last 2 years, are players that we saw at Kaya Majola week. That is the ridiculousness of it. So we knew about them 4 or 5 years ago and could see the traits in them. So if you got, like, for example, Reiner van Tonde, it's been 3 seasons where he's consistently scored runs. He scored 100 recently, a very good 100 at Newlands against a top class bowling attack in domestic cricket, and top bowling attack in domestic cricket. That guy has proven himself over 3 seasons. Tony DeZorzi has shown his signs over 3 seasons. There's Ryan Rickleton that has shown signs over season. There are other players available. We should really, really start to think about things and reset properly. Reset everything properly. But okay, guys, let's get into the callers. We got our first caller with us, Stuart Judge. Welcome, bro. What would you like to say, brother?
Yo, I actually don't even know where to start again. Um, just so disappointed with the batting. I thought Ashwell Prince made a very good point on commentary today. He said it's almost like a lot of the batsmen don't really have a game plan on how they're going to approach or construct an inning. So it's not even like a technical thing that I know it's soft dismissals, but you don't even see a game plan from these guys aside from maybe Carl Verheyen and Marco Janssen today, and even Carl Zondo in the first test played quite well. But it's just really frustrating to see these soft dismissals keep happening over and over again. And I don't know what it's going to take for a complete overhaul, especially in the batting, to take place, because you can't keep getting out for under 200 and expect to win test matches and saying, it's bowlers need to step up as well. The batters are clearly not doing their job. And yeah, I mean, it's really disappointing to see. I mean, now like guys like Tony DeZorzi must be thinking, what do I need to do to get in this team? And even someone like Jordan Herman, who's 21, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, what do they need to do to be selected? Because these guys can't even reach 200. Then surely, like, I don't know. I don't know what to say, if I'm honest.
Yeah, Stuart. I mean, would you be happy if if you saw some signs of positivity of a player, or of certain, how can I say, yeah, if you saw signs of positivity in the batting lineup, if they were looking good but then losing their wicket, would you rather be more comfortable like that, or in a way where they look nervous? Some of the batters look out of sorts, like they're not comfortable here.
Hmm.
um I don't want to single out players all the time, because it's not a show like that. I don't want to be getting players backlash. I'm trying to be open and honest with my opinion here. It might be harsh and it might be straightforward. And yes, you guys know I'm not a cricketer or anything. It's just my opinion as a fan. So it's what I've analyzed and seen. Um, are you worried about the fact that our experienced batters come into this team and then look nervous and out of sorts?
Hmm. I mean, definitely. Let's use Dean Alga as an example. I mean, we all know the type of batter he is in his game plan, but it literally looks like he's so uncomfortable at the wickets with the way that he's nudging the ball around. And I mean, that run out today, he fought so hard for 25 runs. I think it was off like 60 something balls. And it was a soft run out. Temba Bavuma as well, like, okay, he got nicked, but I mean, it wasn't like a swinging or seaming delivery. It was literally just Stark going over the wickets and hitting his bat and getting caught out. So I don't even think I think experience almost at this point, and I know it's going to sound harsh, but for me it's almost counting for nothing, because if you're experiencing you're not performing, then what good are you to the team? If I'm honest with you,
Yeah.
like I'd much rather they look at a batting lineup like we almost do with the bowlers, but think, okay, Ryan Rickleton is a great stroke player and can be almost that counter punch in the team with Kyle Verreynne. So pick him in the team. Then maybe think of someone who could be a solid opener at the top, and just think of how you're going to bat people, select people for certain roles, if that makes sense, within the team. I think Sean Pollock spoke about it in the first test, and yeah, uh, I just think I don't want to keep hammering the selectors because I don't think it's necessarily just a selection issue. I think ultimately, if you selected for the squad, then you should also take accountability for your role as a batter. So yeah, um, I don't know what else to say with it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, and I see the narrative of why everybody wants to push seven batters because of this frailties, but it's because we want to win the matches, and obviously we do. Um, it's you know what my point, my problem over here is mainly is that I don't understand. I don't understand the logic, and when I don't understand the logic, I get uninterested because or disinterested. Because what actually happens is, well, when I look at the situation and I say, okay, cool, we're gonna give a 30-year-old, 31-year-old, 32-year-old, or 33-year-old an opportunity, and this player has done okay in domestic cricket. He struggled a bit in domestic cricket. Then you give him an opportunity in international cricket. He goes out to the middle. He looks uncomfortable. He fails. He maybe scores 100 here there or 50 here and there, but he looks out of sorts and struggles in majority of conditions. If you took a player that is 22 or 23 and put him in that same position, if you look ahead at 5 years' time, which is how most people plan their lives, if you look ahead at 5 years' time, at 38 years old, what would that player have learned? Nothing, I feel. And at that particular point, I feel that you've wasted your time with a guy that's going to retire. By the time you finish teaching him everything that he needs to know, he's gained experience internationally, then it's pointless. So if you put a 22-year-old in there in the same scenario and he's struggling and he's also looking out of sorts, which will probably likely happen because we're probably concerned that we're going to put these players into difficult situations and then we're going to spoil them. I highly doubt that we'll spoil them. If their mentality is right and they want to play for South African cricket or play for South Africa, I think their heart's in the right place. But that struggle over the 5 years means that by the time they hit their peak, they would have learned. And why I say right now, it's a pressing topic. Why now? Because at the moment, there are still experienced bowlers all around the world bowling in all different teams. It's the perfect opportunity as a learning curve for any young batter for the future. So the only time I think that youth is better than experience is if the youth are already performing at a certain level. And for me, you can't use you can't use domestic cricket as a as a measuring stick from a weight of runs perspective. I feel that you can only do so if there is being consistency in scoring milestones. So when I look at it's like it's almost like picking how can I explain this now in a non-judgmental way? Um, uh, it's almost like you picking it's almost like you're picking go-kart drivers and expecting them to immediately know how to drive a F1 car without any training. It's exactly that. You can have go anyway. So an example in this as well. Maybe that's not a very very good example because I'm trying to compare with regards to age. But yeah, I feel it's a waste of time. Ultimately, it's a waste of time to 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 pick players that are only going to play for 2 3 seasons as a stopgap. I mean, stopgaps don't work for me. Um, like I mean, ultimately, you're not going to build the foundation of a house on a wobbly foundation, and just replace the bricks every 2 years. You're going to make sure that it's going to last you 10 years. 5, 10, 15, 60, 100 years. Who wants to build a foundation of house where you have to change the bricks every 2 years? Makes absolutely no sense. Stuart, let's finish off for me over there. What was your final words, bro, before I bring on the next caller?
No, I completely agree with everything that you've said. For me, I think we almost, if we're going to use a platform to rebuild, and I know we keep talking about test championships and you don't like the word rebuild, but I think we almost need to copy what England did going into the 2005 Ashes series versus Australia and kind of pick players who have got no scoring. And I don't even think they necessarily have to be as young as like under 25, even if they're like, let's say, between 26 and 29, that's okay. But just as long as they are performing and they are converting and you know that they have the ability and the skill. And I mean, if you look at our future tours program, we haven't got a lot of test cricket coming up if you compare it to countries like India, England, and Australia. Okay, I know England and Australia have 10 tests with the Ashes, but it's not a lot of time to give these young guys the experience that they need. So I don't understand why they're not picking them as soon as they can to give them the experience. But yeah,
Yeah,
thanks
I
so
mean,
much.
Stuart, are you gonna pick? Are you so say now you have two options. You've got
Yeah.
a 35 year old that got that just passed their driver's license, almost failed it. You have a new Bugatti that you just bought, right? That's ultimately the case because Test cricket is ultimately the pinnacle. You've got a new Bugatti, you've got a 35-year-old that just passed their driver's license, and you've got a 21-year-old that passed it with flying colors. Who do you let drive your Bugatti?
Oh, obviously the 21-year-old.
There we go. That's the answer
Yeah.
for you guys. So okay. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Stuart, for calling in. I'll chat to you very, very soon. Maybe on a preview show for the obviously for the next game as well, but also the review show tomorrow after tomorrow's game. Please, I would like to hear your
Cool.
points again. Thanks a
Thanks so
lot, bro.
much.
Enjoy your day.
You too. Bye.
Let's move on to the next caller. We've got Tahsin with us. Well, welcome to the show, bro. What would you like to say?
Khalid, how are you doing?
I'm all right, and you just tired, bro. Getting up and
I can
frustrated.
imagine. I
It's
can
frustrating.
imagine.
Yo,
Listen to
yo.
me. I woke up. I looked at it for a little while, and I put the TV off and went back to sleep.
Yeah.
Anyway, Khalid, we've spoken about this after the World Cup. There needs to be a
Hmm.
change in ethos. There needs to be a change in personnel. I mean, I understand some of these guys, the coaching staff, and that are qualified, but they haven't had that experience at test level. So rather get guys who have been in that situation who can advise in that situation. That's
Hmm.
one thing. The other thing is, I mean, you've got players that are averaging in their 40s in domestic cricket. Why are you not giving those guys a chance? Why are we not giving? I was just looking at the Yanuman Malan. I know maybe it doesn't fit the profile or whatever it is, but the man has scored and he's averaging in the 40s in domestic cricket. So why Peter Malan? I mean, these guys are good cricketers. We're giving guys who are averaging 30, they can't step up to the next level, and it's showing. Everything is a problem. I'm sorry to say, and I'm sorry to sound so terrible. Victor Impetsang and his team are failing cricket South Africa. They are failing. The way that they are doing things is not correct. Nothing has been working. Nothing. We have not had joy since the last decade. I think when Hashim and AB and those guys were playing, we were scoring runs and we're doing things. You cannot rebuild for 8 years. It's impossible. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
impossible to
You're right.
rebuild for 8 years. You
You're
know,
right, dude. 100%
like you
right.
say, other teams are going into their phase of rebuilding, the second phase and third phase of rebuilding we are going through. When they are going to the next phase, I mean, you've got players, and I do understand, and I do feel sorry. I mean, I know that the regular players are not there, like Keegan Peterson and that, but this was a perfect opportunity to give the young guys a chance. This was
Yeah.
the perfect opportunity. We know that Australia is a big test for us. It's supposed to be one of the biggest series for us. You don't have your regular players like Zubair Hamza, and you don't have Keegan Peterson, and you've decided not to pick Markram. which doesn't make sense to me when you're going to a big test arena, when you're going to a big stage like this. Anyway, those three are more settled than the others, but now you don't have them. Give the younger guys a chance. Honestly, things are not right. It just doesn't. The way that things have been dealt with have not been right. Because if you look at it, the way that players have exited Test cricket, we're talking about our experienced players who are scoring runs. It didn't give a chance for the other guys to learn from them much, and it didn't give a chance for you. You need to have your core. It was very quickly that the core was ripped out.
Yeah. But
Honestly,
Tasin, my problem here is, right. I could fully understand if we had under 26s or under 25s in domestic cricket that are doing the same things that our experienced guys are doing, like their
yeah,
conversion rates are the same, etc. What
sure,
I don't understand is how they can just completely ignore conversion rate, because it's indirectly telling you that the player has the right mentality
yes, for sure.
ultimately, because they are then because if they can convert their 50s into 100, that means, or they can get they can do that particular conversion, that means obviously that they have the ability to be able to remove the pressure threshold, yeah, or to
For
work
sure.
through it. And I don't understand, like, what you expect. I mean, if you put someone in a fire drill, like fire marshals get tested before they go become firemen.
Yeah,
I
for
mean, if you
sure.
put them through the fire drill and they're all panicking and they're going, "Oh my
You have
god,
to
I
have,
can't,"
you have to
and
get the
they
schooling before you can. I mean, if you don't pass school, you
exactly.
can't go to university.
Exactly.
How do you expect people to go to test cricket when they're not scoring runs in domestic cricket? It's just
Yeah.
mind-boggling.
And the experienced guys have have more I wouldn't say double standard, but they have more privilege, because you've got 100 games, 400 games, or 100 games, or 90 games, or 70 games to look at. You have 70 games you had opportunities to show. That's crazy. And I'm looking
Sure.
at, and I'm not asking necessarily for 100% conversion rate, but there's a couple of guys that are converting at 70%, 80%.
No.
Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. How can you pick a guy that's converting at 20% over a guy that's converting at 80%? It makes no sense at all. I mean, if you had to get someone to invest in your business, are you going to get a guy that failed 100 times, or are you going to get a guy that's
No.
been consistent 4 times? I
Yeah, for
mean,
sure.
it just must make sense.
You know,
Anything else you want to
it,
say?
the, yeah. So just two more things. The one thing is that this has been a long time coming. I think when towards the end of the Hashim and Faf, they were, if those guys didn't score, the new guys, or these guys that they had put in weren't doing the job already. That was alarm bells. Already it was time to see, let's get the younger guys in. I for one don't have a problem with, I know you do, well, you've said it, that a guy who's maybe in his 30s or whatever. We know of Hasi's story, right? But they must score, they must do something, then sure they can be part of the team. Bringing in somebody at this time to test cricket, that's the one thing. And the other thing is, Khalid, is it not possible for us to change our structures in domestic cricket? I mean, can't we have a 5-day game where people are put into that situation where they know they're playing 5-day cricket, and they've got that experience? Because we are falling short. I mean, 2 days we're playing tests, 3 days. I mean, how do you expect to win a test like that? In
Yeah, I
fact, the
mean,
Zondo
I
made a
think
comment
it's a worldwide
last
thing,
week.
that I think.
Yeah, yeah. But I know, I understand. But what I'm saying is that we need to look at some. Why do we fall short playing 2-3 days? I don't know if you read Zondo's comment he made last week. He said that the two tests or whatever that he's played, he's only been 2 days or whatever. He's never played a
Yeah.
full
No,
5-day
bro.
test.
When last have we had a 5-day test for South
Yeah,
Africa? Like, I
yeah.
mean, it's ridiculous. And and
You
and
can't win a test without going the distance.
yeah, and on top of it, what I don't get is, right, South Africa is also one of the countries that has quite different conditions in different areas. So, for example, you go to
Yeah,
Bloem, you go to the Newlands, you go to Wanderers, you go to Centurion, you go to Durban, and you go to PE. They
each place
all have
plays differently. Yeah,
each place
yeah,
plays differently, and it also, some of them are spinner friendly. So you are learning those skills. So what I don't
yeah.
understand is, you've got a setup that is quite diverse. It's not like in England where majority of the flipping conditions is going to be swing conditions in
Yeah.
majority of the areas. So you're going to get similar type of conditions, similar in Australia as well. You're going to get similar type of conditions at most
I
grounds
mean,
that you play.
Australia shouldn't be that difficult. It's the closest to South African conditions you're gonna
Yeah.
experience. You know what I'm saying?
So what? So I just don't get why that we pick players that haven't done it domestic. So I don't have an issue with experienced domestic players if they have shown a record of being able to convert, like Peter Milan. Peter Milan's
Yeah.
conversion rate is pretty damn good. He's shown consistently over time that he can score big scores. He's done it even in the semi-pro arena. He scored, I think, a double century, and also in 4-day cricket when they made the transition and became a more part of the Cobras team, and now for Poland, he's consistently performing. There are other guys like Joshua Richards, for example. That's conversion rate is pretty damn good for his age that he is. You've got Tony DeZorzi now as an opener that has done excellently well, and he's converting well as well. So I don't
Another
get it.
thing,
I don't get it.
another thing, Khalid, is I think because of T20 cricket, because of limited overs cricket, we've compartmentalized our players. So sometimes you might give an opportunity to somebody in T20 cricket, and you said, you know what, this guy cannot play
Mhm.
Test cricket,
Mm.
and that has ruined us in a big way.
Yeah, we need to
You
get
know,
Devak Brevis playing cricket,
honestly,
4-day cricket immediately. I don't understand the logic with the
he,
Titans and not giving him
I was
opportunities.
reading an article where he says that he wants to play Test cricket. So why are we not
Yeah,
giving these guys the
I mean,
opportunity?
he came on here and he said it when we were one of the first people to interview him when he
Yeah,
and a couple of times he's told us already that I mean, the last interview we had with him, he said that he wants to play 4-day cricket. So I feel that's the only thing that's going to improve his game, generally speaking, white ball cricket as well as 4-day cricket.
that's for
But
sure.
that's
I mean,
yeah, but
if AB
that's
could do it, if you
yeah,
know, I mean, Faf, they did everything. They did
yeah.
everything. Why can't we do that? We shouldn't be compartmentalizing them.
Mm,
And the other thing is, sorry, I've got so much to get
mm,
off my chest because I'm so
no problem.
disgruntled at the moment. You know,
Yeah, me too.
but but Khalid, we know our track record. We know the problems we've had. Why are they not choosing or getting somebody in the camp who can work with them mentally, work on their
That
psychological
is
state? You know,
That's crazy for me. That is probably the biggest oversight that I think South African cricket has had in the last 20 years, is not having
I
a
know, I
sports
know they worked
psychologist
with
in
it.
the mix.
What's his name? Michael Horn. Oh, I can't remember his name. A while ago, but it was just like for the World Cup, and then nobody else. So what nonsense is that? You know?
Yeah, where did that get us?
Yeah, exactly,
We looked mentally
exactly.
weak in that last game against the Netherlands. But
Yeah.
Taksin, thanks a lot for phoning in, bro. I hope you call in again very
Thanks,
soon. I'm
Khalid.
gonna have to get on to the next callers. Welcome to the show, Sadiq. What would you like to say, brother? You don't have much time, so try to keep it just 1 or 2 points. You muted, bro. Okay, nothing. We got Liacho waiting for us. Welcome to the show, brother. What would you like to say?
Hey Khalid, how you doing, brother?
Ah, I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm tired at the first half, but also on the other hand, because I can understand why things are failing. I feel a little bit less sad about it.
Mm, mm.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I just wanted to ask. You have an inside line basically on all the players, and you know quite a few staff around South African cricket. Do players know pretty well where they stand with the Proteas?
No. So from the
So
conversations
Tina's.
I've had, for example, the conversations I've had with players within the domestic setup, even the players that have been in SAA, a lot of them have told me off the record that they haven't gotten there's been no communication with regards to their future. So for example, when you're a domestic cricketer making your way up and you're scoring runs and you're doing well, there's no communication unless there's a SAA call up. It's like almost the first time they hear from the convener is SAA, which is
So
mind-boggling to me.
Tina's one. So Tina's van Staden's article, which had some pretty weird quotes, was actually quite accurate when he stated that a lot of players actually feel disgruntled at the system. Like they don't
Yeah.
actually know where they stand. They don't know what they're actually playing for. You know, I'd say that that's also a pretty big problem. Like, never mind what you see now with the scorecard and the results is basically just a result of the backlog there. You know,
Yeah,
things always have an origin. These things
yeah,
don't come out of nowhere. We didn't just start struggling to get to 200. Like, there's a lot of things that happened beforehand. Um, you are right about the thing where you said we should look at conversion rates and stuff like that. But one thing we should also note is a lot of teams actually identify their test batsmen pretty young. So they original, like they'll cap them early, maybe early 20s, and then maybe they might flop early and then have to go back to work on it domestically. But they know their best batsman pretty early on. It's not something that just randomly comes in their 30s. You know,
yeah.
this idea that, oh, you've been in the system for a long period of time, you're suddenly going to become a world-class batsman doesn't make sense. Because to actually succeed at test level, you have to be world class.
And I agree with you 100%. You can't suddenly train Mr. Bean and expect him to beat Conor McGregor. So, like, it's crazy. I mean, wow. There's a lot of you see the reason I push on conversion rates is because it tells the story a lot about the story because people will look at average and they'll look at 50 scored and perhaps strike rate in white ball cricket. But to me, what's important is cricket is a game where you fail a lot, right? We all know
Yes.
that it's a game where you fail more than you succeed. But the point, so if there are players in your system that are outliers that are actually converting at a high rate, then that's something that you're not going to come around a lot. And the point about this is that, for example, I look at a guy like Reina van Tonda, who I've been pushing for a very long time, purely based on his mentality. His conversion rate is good. He's done well. Okay, yes, in the first 2 seasons he was doing only well in Bloom. He got a 16 Durban somewhere, which people chose to conveniently ignore. And now he's done okay in Bloom. He wasn't very certain on whether he was going to get selected in the team and what was happening with his selection. And then he gets chosen, and he scores 100 at Newlands, which is a place he's never scored a century before, in difficult conditions against the best bowling attack in the 4-day arena at the moment. Experienced bowling attack with swing and pace and everything. So my point there is that tells me a certain mentality and temperament. There's also another story that I can bring to you that will prove that again. In the under 19 in the 19 World Cup, when he was a captain, he messed up his hand. I think he broke it actually. It was before the quarterfinals, I think it was, and the doctor didn't told him he shouldn't play. The medical doctor said that he should sit out and get replaced. He mustn't play. It's not going to be good for him. There's a lot of risk involved. He went out anyway and he scored 100. That's mentality and he's 18 years old at that point. Remember, he's not developed yet at that point. He's not a man yet at that point necessarily, you would say. And he was willing to sacrifice himself and his own well-being for the sake of his country. Some people might call that stupid. I think they call that brave. So those are type of things that make special players special. And I feel like we
Mm,
gloss over that because it's not very common. But when you do find that in your system, hone it, give them
mm,
opportunities, and give them the chance, because they're going to learn more from their failures than some guy that has failed. I mean, what a bad conversion rate says to me is that the person has failed way more than they've succeeded. So that tells me that they're weak mentally.
mm,
That's it's plain to see. Like it's like with a striker in football. If you're scoring one every 100 goals, I mean, obviously, who's gonna want to pick a play like that? So
mm,
one on every 100 shots. I mean, no one wants everybody talks about a clinical striker. You want a clinical cricketer too, someone that can put on, especially at the moment, the most important thing and metric at the moment in South African cricket in this team is runs. So pick the guys that are scoring the most runs, not a guy that
mm.
scores one good score and not out, and then it pushes their average up to crazy numbers. I mean, I just think they need to be a little bit more particular when they pick their things. A little bit more particular. What else would you like to say, bro? Diago? Hello? Okay, we lost Liacho, guys. I'm sorry about that. I actually took some of his screen time. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Smash the like button, please. It really will help us a lot if you smash the like button. It will get us into other extremes. We're also on Rumble, by the way, guys, as well. I don't know what I'm going to be doing with that platform, but I just felt that I needed to be there just to make sure that we're everywhere. But smash the like button, please. Comment, share, subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos. But I'd also like you guys to also download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. Marco Janssen is on the front cover of this issue, and I mean it, guys. Every issue is free. You don't have to pay a cent. So just to enjoy it as best as possible. Smash the like button. If you want to help us grow and you want to help us grow South African cricket and promote South African cricket, please get involved with our Patreon account. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. And go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all regular updates and reviews and previews and features, etc. Cricketfanaticsmag.com for your regular updates. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Very disappointed about today's performance, but let's hope we can turn it around tomorrow. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow with another review show. Take care. Peace out.